Ntabo cabanga ukuthi eMaswati appreciate lokubona enatindzaba lesiveta cishe wonke emalanga sitale sibona nelovisi leliphindla nivuna ngikhulu ngekuthunywa ngemakhosi angathi lakhele ngakhe eMaswati itindlu ngicabanga ukuthi nawo lawo Maswati lawo ahleli yanathethekile kuleto tindlu tawo letinsha kuyasipha ke nathi ukuthi nje sithuthuteke sisive seMaswati nanaba lesingasho ukuthi engcenye bona abakatsingi kakhulu kodwa nje kuyasivula letinhlitiyo ukuthi nanathi sifuna kwentela okungcono sende lokuhle siveni seMaswati so kulolo hlangothi nje besifuna nje ukuthi sithathe a moment sithi nathi sekhutalwane imisebenzi yakangwane lemihle kangaka kazi ke ngakulokunye ngicansi kuyasikhuthatha kubona ukuthi umsakazo wetithombe Eswatini TV wende ini ne Premier League of Eswatini ngekutsala bese announce ukuthi sesisakada English Premier League and this week we have announced ukuthi we have a new marriage in the Premier League of Eswatini kulempela sonto nje sikhathile ukuthi kube khona umdlalo lo tawusakadwa wa Premier League of Eswatini kunengakhulu lokuhle lokwentekayo yebo kona kukhona tinvo letihle tisilimata kodwa siyathanda lo ukuthi sethinake tinvo letihle
kunjalo mbukeli ke phela omhlanje sitabe sibuka tona tindzabade tempilo sabe sikhuluma ngetifo letingathathelwana njengoba kusukela mhla ka-15 kuya kumhla ka-22 October livikile le Global Action Against NCDs lekutifo letingathathelwana lokufaka ekhathi shukela lokufaka ekhathi hypertension nabo high blood pressure netifo nje tenhlitiyo sifuna kuva kuye Vusi Chabango lo NCD coordinator kuva ukuthi ngabe letifo leti ingoti kanganani metamoyini le ndiwa ngihulumende kuzama kunciphisa inombolo abantu lababulawa ngito letifo leti mhlaphangene nje enhlangano mhlaphangene WHO evede ukuthi 41 million abantu emhlabeni wonke njalo ngeminyaka basishiya emhlabeni ngato letifo leti nalapha eSwatini inombolo yakhomba ukuthi iyanyuka njengoba nje nga-2019 baningi bamfla basishiya lapha eveni ngato letifo leti sifuna kuva ukuthi siziphephisa kanjani nguphi kudlela kumele sikudle kude sitawuhlala singilabaphilile emtimbeni sabe sinaye nga6:30 lomhla ekseni
ngale kwaloko Thombeni eMaswati asathokotela lokho atawuthokotela kenyalo lehloko lethamba empili emaphephandzabeni elive omathathu
Anzike sitaqala sibuke kuleti hamba empili ku Times of Eswatini lomhla Leading headlines, Home Affairs Corruption Assistant Immigration Officer tells it all. Accomplice says she was given batches of passports to sign in absence of owners. Gogo, 64-year-old Gogo was killed as house burns. Parents exploiting kids to beg and face 10,000 malangeni fine. Primary is owned by government.
Kubekela mbili sibuka temidlalo Times of Eswatini lomuhla ekseni. Biggest story there, the unexpected always happens as birds in Owusu contract dilemma. Bawane Swallows stuck with player, returning cater still frozen. On another story, Mbappe flabbergasted by rape claim. Anzike ngakulenye indzaba flawless home record for Nsingizini Hotspurs.
Anzike sitawuqhubekela embili sibuke Eswatini Observer kulethamba embili lomuhla. Baby dies and mother recovering from poisoning. They reportedly ate food laced with Master 900. Eswatini is ready to receive investors from Italy, and this is according to the king. Judge suspends a murder suspect's sentences. We are sick and tired of being ill-treated.
On the back end of the Eswatini Observer this Thursday morning, the leading sports headlines, we are mentally drained. This is a story that speaks to as the going gets tough. They are saying that they are mentally drained. Klinginzaba bull in defenders crisis and 80,000 emalangeni for too fast, too furious crying race. Zaba Eqina Sihlango to start Chan preparations.
Kansi Eswatini Daily News the king says we are ready for Italian flair. Ministers sell the Eswatini story to Italian investors. Kuletinye over 250 elderly people receive free medical care at Mhlangatane.
Kubekela mbili sibuka temidlalo Eswatini Daily News. Jimo Moses Saga is the Premier League of Eswatini skating on thin ice. The Premier League of Eswatini is in court. Affidavit promised to fix Chamanzini Wanderers as a Premier League team in the event they won their review against the EFA Appeals Board. Another story is Sikali, 2 others for Orlando Zim clash. The last story speaks to dignitaries that celebrate Kaizer Motaung's 80th birthday.
All right, 8 minutes after 6 ngilethu lethamba imbili kumaphephandaba sibahlole emakethe nasibuya sita ungene indzaba futhi ekucala.
I'm a very happy customer.
I know.
Imali ebhizinisi ayidliwa wayidla udabula phansi.
Hayi ngimsebenzi yethu lesindako la ekhaya njengoba niyibona linihle kangaka.
Ngiyakolosha, which is crocheting.
Ngiyakhicita ke noko kakhulu emsebenzini wethu ikhumba.
Ngenda kwegaba emacici nokwegaba ensanyeni.
Ngilungisa emagedlela.
Hello, how are you? We are selling peanuts at 5. Thank you so much. Umdala kubusi. On the strat, baby.
As the saying goes, education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. Great news for the learners. Eswatini TV brings back the home learning with a wide range of subjects for the grade 7s, Form 3s and Form 5s from the safety of their home.
Change in speed and there's no change in wavelength, meaning that the wavelength of the incident wavefronts.
Watch home learning every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. only on Eswatini TV. Sibuko semaswati.
Ngosilehle asithokotele nathi indzaba tesiswati silo semhlaba sesihlangene nabo somabhizinisi betinhlangothi letahlukene kute business eveni ke letaliyane labo somabhizinisi ngilaba nesifiso sekusungula emabhizinisi nalese bavele bacalile kwenta emabhizinisi eveni leSwatini.
Silo semhlaba sisaqhubeka nemisebenzi yaso lesabalele eveni letaliyane sibe nemihlangano leminyenti ingonyama ibe nemhlangano nabosomabhizinisi labanesifiso sekuvula emabhizinisi eveni leSwatini. Silo siyaqhubeka nokukhanga abatshaltimali bemhlaba kuthuthukisa nokukhulisa luhlangothi lwabatshaltimali eveni labachamuka kulamanye emave. Kuleli letaliyane ingonyama ihlangane netinhlangothi letehlukene tabosomabhizinisi. Imbube ihlangane nabosomabhizinisi labanesifiso sekusekela live kuthuthukisa temidlalo nekubambisa live ekumaketheni live leSwatini njengoba sibake basita kumaketha emave lafana nabo Montenegro nelicembu lebhola lelikhulu lapha eTaliyane iJuventus. Omunye lohlangane nesilo kube ngulwake wamelela live leTaliyane eSwatini iminyaka lengama-36, His Excellency Francisco Napolitano. Studio Peter Julie Civil Engineering and Construction beseyivele ikade Kusile eveni leSwatini yenda imisebenzi lemikhulu efaka ekhatsi kwakhiwa kwemadamu nayo ibe nelithuba lekuhlangana nengonyama. Ingonyama iphindze yahlangana nabosomabhizinisi beluhlangothi lwetemandla njengoba kunenkampani lenesifiso sokukhicita gezi ngakusebenzisa tibi letichamuka etihlahleni. Umsebenzi lo yinhlanganisela ye-Sunfirst Power Italy, MSQ Eswatini and Mother Energy Consortium ivete ukuthi itawutshala lokungamashumi lasitfupha nasihlanu ekhulwini etimalini bese uhulumende ufaka lokhu-35. Silo semhlaba sibe sesivetela lapho somabhizinisi sithombe sokuthi leSwatini likulungele kangakanani kwamukela abosomabhizinisi labanye labachamuka kuleli leTaliyane. Saphinde futhi sethembisa ukuthi batawukwemukeleka ngetandla totimbili baphinde futhi bathole lonke usizo labaludingako. Ingwenyama iphindze yathi leSwatini linetinhlangothi letiningi letilungele tebhizinisi, ngakho bosomabhizinisi bangatincishi kubuketa onke ematfuba ebhizinisi kuto tonke tinhlangothi. Etintabeni kubika Pholile Maziya, Anathemba Mamba, eTaliyane.
Kazi Mhlekazi ithi lonke leSwati kufanele lifake isandla ekunakekeleni abantu labadzala nalabaswele kulelive. Indlovukazi beyimelelwe nguMvane Nkosi Thanzile emcimbini wekwetfulwa kwendlu leyakhelwe umndeni wakaMaziya enkundleni yaseMaphalaleni.
Indlovukazi Mhlekazi yaqhubeka nekuletha lithemba kanye nekwenta impilo ibe ngcono emaswatini laswele. Mhlekazi ngalwesithathu uthume umphathi wesifundza sakaHhohho uMvane Nkosi Thanzile kuthi ayowethula indlu emndenini wakaMaziya enkundleni yaseMaphalaleni esigodini saseLibhujini.
Inhlitiyo yendlovukazi bekunene inhlitiyo yalamakhosi nje onke inkulu kakhulu emaswati iwafukamela. Bafisile ukuthi lonke eliswati liphile impilo lekahle, liphile impilo lenhle. Kude into lehlula ukuthi emhlabeni umuntu abe neliphahla lekulala, ungaba bede konke kodwa mawunendlu yekulala usuke unako konke. Kungalesizathu ke bonkosi ivele ibathume ukuthi ngicela maniphumane ukwakhela labantu bami le. Angifuni ukuthi ngathi ngiyabuka nasethombeni ngibona into lekuthiwa awuthi ngiko lokhu nje ligcapo lelikhulu leli ukuthi cha nako ke lokuphuma emakhosini.
Kulomsebenzi liphindla ndvinankulu impunga Kusile Dladla lalisithe emakhosi afuna ukuthi konke lokwakhulunywa sive sibayeni kufezeke.
Leli vazake selitfolakala emahala leli. Bese kuba khona nje umuntu uthina angalithatha. Emakhosi bekalala emigedzeni. Azama kusakhela nalivinali. Asilendeni ke thine lonke eliswati leli la lijabule kuba liswati. Ithi ngwenyama asente onke emaswati ajabule ngekuthi emaswati umajabulile yona yohlala njalo imamatheka.
Lilunga lephalamende lalenkundla uMntonisha Mabulala Maseko udumise emakhosi ngekuniketa sive liphindla ndvinankulu lelingumake.
Siyabonga ekutheni emakhosi akhethe make lo njenga DPM lokugijima busuku nemini. Umvuzo wakho usezulwini. Sibantu siyobe sikhuluma lokwa naloka uyatichayisa unjani njani. Kepha uNkulunkulu yena loneliso lelibanti uyokwati ukuthi wamendelana emhlabeni.
Umndeni wakaMaziya utibongele emakhosini.
Umnakethu lothola sipho sibonga inkosi Maziya uthola sipho lesihle kangaka emakhosini ethu. DPM siyamangala ukuthi sitawubonga ngani nje.
Indlunkulu nanayo ithembisile ukuthi itawenda siqiniseke ukuthi le ndlu iphatheka kahle kude lomuka umndeni wakaMaziya umhlaba.
Athi emakhosi kusebenza nkwe. Ingwenyama ile emaveni nje ngivese isho le ithi nkwe. Hawu wathi belungu batama ungankwe. Wathi kusebenza nkwe. Siyambonga ke nkwe ke make nalamhla nange nkwe ufika nje make. Awukaqedi ngisho usenkaqedi ngisho umnyaka. Sokunendlu imile ngekubona abantu abakho labanye una uhamba njengamake ukuthi awunabalabalala ngephandle.
Mhlekazi uphathise uMvane Nkosi Thanzile tipho lafike ke watethula kulomndeni. Umbiko uhlanganiswe ngilingithini Gule nginaSmuva Shongwe seMaphalaleni.
Indvuna yemabhizinisi nekuthengiselana manqoba Khumalo seyikhuthateke bosomabhizinisi belive leTaliyane ekuthenini babukete leSwatini njengelive lekutshala timali elivikatini leAfrika. Indvuna beyikhuluma ngesikhathi kunemhlangano nabosomabhizinisi belive leTaliyane lebe uchutshwa libandla lelikhanga abatshali timali yeSwatini Investment Promotion Authority.
Silo semhlaba saniketa uhulumende wembube umsebenzi nensayeya wokukhanga abashalti imali ukuthi basungule amabhizinisi evenda Eswatini kude kutawakheka amathuba emisebenzi kuthuthuke umnotho phindze kunciphe nobuphuya. Tindvuna tembuso lethi sebandleni lengwenyama lapha eTaliyane tibe nemhlangano nabosomabhizinisi balelive. Lo mhlangano wokukhanga labosomabhizinisi bewukade uqhutshwa ibandla lokukhanga abashalti imali evenda Eswatini ye-Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority. Siqubulo salo mhlangano sithi doing business and sourcing goods from Eswatini. Lo mhlangano ungenelwe bosomabhizinisi labachamuka etinhlangothini letehlukene tetebhizinisi. Indvuna yetemabhizinisi netekuthengiselana Mancoba Khumalo sekakhanga bona abashalti imali uvete ukuthi leSwatini linemathuba lamahle nalamaningi etebhizinisi etinhlangothini letehlukene.
We do believe that there is a huge opportunity for your businesses to explore Eswatini. We can assure you that you will benefit by establishing in Eswatini because of the access to the many markets that Sibane showed in his presentation, and lately the African Continental Free Trade area. We are very optimistic and extremely bullish about our future as a country. That is the main reason His Majesty has charged government to invest aggressively in our infrastructure, whether it is agricultural infrastructure, energy infrastructure, road infrastructure, rail infrastructure, and ICT infrastructure. What you will experience in Eswatini is that there's a very aggressive program to enable businesses to thrive. And as we invite you to partake in this journey with us, we also want to leverage on your expertise.
Indvuna etiko letekulima Mandla Chauke yena uvetile ukuthi bosomabhizinisi banemathuba etebhizinisi kutekulima evenda Eswatini njengoba tekulima tingumgogodla wentuthuko yemnotho.
One needs to state that one of the biggest issues that we want to deal with immediately is self-sufficiency on basic food commodities. We therefore are looking for investors to help us grow enough foodstuffs that constitute our staple diet, and that is just basic maize and beans. We can add milk. We are already building water harvesting infrastructure, but we believe that there is also opportunity there to expand. We have the Mkondongwavuma project, which is going to change the face of the country, but there are other dam possibilities we're looking at. We already have the Nondo on the pipeline, but we're also looking for Silele and Slingani.
Indvuna itangaphandle nakubambisana lamanye emave epholile shakhantu ithele Eswatini linekuthula lokwenta ukuthi kube melula kakhulu kwenta ibhizinesi kilo.
Eswatini is indeed open for business, and from the testimonials that you have heard, I think the most important thing for any person wanting to invest is the stability of the country where you want to make your investment. As we see globally, there are a lot of conflicts, but Eswatini is one of the most stable and peaceful countries in the world, and largely because of the fact that we are a kingdom that has been in existence for hundreds and hundreds of years, and through the leadership of His Majesty King Eswatini III, he has managed to keep our country very peaceful and stable. We speak one language. We are more or less like a very big family.
Lo Kusile live leSwatini eNgilandi nakulamanye emave labamhlophe, Her Excellency Thandazile Mbuyisa ubengilomunye lokhangisa live leSwatini uvetile ukuthi leSwatini litivulile tandla kwemukela abashalti imali abamcondo omunye neleSwatini wekuthuthukisa umnotho nentuthuko leKonsile. Somabhizinisi losaneminyaka lelinganiselwa kule ngama-20 solo acala kwenta ibhizinisi evenda Eswatini Andrea Tori we-Tori Group uvetele lo mhlangano ukuthi umelula kangakanani kwenta ibhizinisi Eswatini futhi leSwatini libabambisa kangakanani batshali timali.
The country is very stable, very stable. Just to make you understand, there is a US embassy, is one of the biggest all around Africa and in Eswatini. So I think there is a meaning if a US put one of the biggest embassy in Eswatini because the country is really safe and stable. So from a business point of view, it's very important.
Labanye labathule ubufakazi bekwenta ibhizinisi nelive leSwatini kube ngu-Antonio Brasca we-Studio Pedigree, inkampani yebunjinela nekwakha, kanye nalowa-ke waba ngulongcusele live leTaliyane even leSwatini. Etintsabeni kubika Pholile Maziya, Anathemba Mamba, eTaliyane.
Kuqiniswa kweliphiko lwelitiko lwetekwatisa kuchumana kanye netebuciko lolwatiwa ngele Department of Research, Science, Technology and Innovation. Kungalisita ke live ekuthenini litfutfuke ngesivinini lesetulu etinhlelweni talo netakamhlaba letfaka ekhatsi imigomo yentfutfuko lekhonsako. Lokhu ke kushiwo indvuna yelitiko letekwatisa imphunga Savannah Maziya emhlanganweni isikolo yomalunga emakomiti etindlu totimbili tePhalamende. Lawo ke labuke kusebenta kwalelitiko lapho kwakhiwa khona luhlaka lwekusebenta kwaloluphiko. Indvuna beyimelelwe ngumphathi welibhange lemlandvo iNational Archives Ncoba Msibi. Kanti ke lo mhlangano ubanjelwe ehotela iThe George kaManzini.
May I highlight that research and innovation are engines of sustainable development.
Tekucwaninga kanye netekuchamuka nemasu lamasha ngutona ticinisekisa intuthuko lekhonsako. Ngutona tiphakamisa umnotho etinhlangothini letinyenti takhe nemabhizinisi lamasha tiphindze tilekelele ekucatshuleleni tinsayiya letibhekene nesive. Kuleli leSwatini, lucwaningo lutasisita ekulweni netinsayiya letita nekugucuka kwesimo selitulu, tinkinga tekudla tetemphilo kanye nekutfutfukisa temabhizinisi. Le mitsetfo nemigomo lesiyishayako itocinisekisa ukuthi telucwaningo kanye nekucabanga kwakha tintfo letinsha kuyathuthuka.
Lolu hlaka lweminyaka lesihlanu kubhekeke ukuthi luqale kusebenta ngeminyaka wa-2025 kuya ku-2029 kanti lutolekelela ekutheni kwakhiwe imitsetfo lemisha letolawula tekucwaninga, tesayensi, tebuciko kanye nekucinisekisa ukuthi intuthuko yelive ihambisana naleyo yemave emhlabeni wonke kakhulu leyo letintsa tebuciko. Bosihlalo bemakomiti etindlu totimbili tePhalamende letibuke kusebenta kwelitiko letekwatisa bathembise kulisekela lelitiko nalitokhankanya imitsetfo yekucinisa kusebenta kwaloluphiko lwalo.
Ngeke niqhamuke sento shayisa imithetho lebesingekho kuyo naniyoyibuka lokho ukuthi le mithetho nithi isebenta kulamanye amave nje iyini. Thine singithi lefathi sibuyela endlini sitoqinisa lamalunga cha amalunga atekayo nabesikhona siyibonile le ndlu yasebenza. Sifuna kubonga ingwenyama. Kusebaleni ukuthi ingwenyama ngiyo lesembili isembili kwenu ngoba ingwenyama had this vision long before anyone. La kuleli veleli even understood ukuthi le knowledge based economy itawudzinga kangakanani.
Siyati ukuthi currently lama systems elive mancane labukele langalehlangothi le kala research and development even the expenditure of the country incane, so sifuna ke ukuthi ku-improve ke that.
Umphathi waloluphiko Dr. Rejoice Maseko uchazelele amalunga lamakomiti ePhalamende ngato tonke tingoni letitotsindzeka ngalolu hlaka njengoba lutokwenda kutsi tinhlangothi letihlukene ematikweni ahulumende temuketelane kahle konke lokusetshenzwa live kutekucwaninga, tebuciko kanye netesayensi. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV ngumbongwa Dube kaManzini.
Tindzabeni temidlalo sewusukunyiswa ngalokusemtsetfweni umchudzelwano wesine we-Forever Too Fast Too Furious Three Tops Game Resort Cycling lokubhekeke ukuthi ubanjwe mhla ka-30 kule nyanga lesetulu.
Sukunyiswa ngalokusemtsetfweni umchudzelwano umdlalo wamabhayisikili we-Forever Too Fast Too Furious Three Tops Game Result
losekelwe ngemali engu-80,000 emalangeni lebuya enkampanini yi-3 Tops Game Resort. Bengamelo nhlangano emidlalo wamabhayisikili kuleli William Kelly uthi umgcugculwano we-Forever 2 Furious udlala inzima lenkulu ekuthuthukiseni amabhayisikili kuleli.
For again coming to the party and sponsoring this event. We know that our economic climate is not the very best at the moment, and we would like to thank you for honoring your word and sponsoring this event. We're glad that it's happening now, and we look forward to a safe and successful event.
Muzi M.A. Dlamini longosihlalo wenkampani 3 Tops Game Resort sesekela lo mgcugculwano uthi lokhu kuyindlela yabo yokubuyisela isiveni.
Life is not only about profit. The things that make our lives turn, the things that make us come together, the things that make us healthier, we still have to try and propel them forward with the little that we have. That is why we made the executive call to say we will participate in this cycling event again this year.
Tim McNamara welicembu le-Forever Cycling Club elilungiselela lo mgcugculwano uchazile ukuthi batimisele ukuchubeka nokwenyusa lizinga kulo mgcugculwano.
The 30th of November culminates the end of the season for the cycling calendar of 2024. So we do believe it will be very fast, very furious, very hot, and it will be challenging for the athletes and those masters as well. There will be a few hidden surprises within the few weeks to come.
Mgcugculwano utawubanjwa mhla ka-30 kule nyanga letako. Babikela umsakazo Eswatini TV temidlalo ngilinda Dlamini kanzombiko uhlanganiswa nguFabrice Msonera eMbabane.
Ngako tindzaba tekucala tindzaba tesiswati sibahlola emakethe sibuya sicocisana naVusi Shabangu lochamba etiko letempilo.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi
aba research bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sente ukukhicita lokhu sekungeni.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007*3*7#, or you can use Eswatini Imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any Nedbank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Asibenze sinimukele ngo-28 minutes before 7 o'clock lomhla ekseni sakwamukela sikuvusele lomhla ehlelweni lomhla kesitaba esikhuluma ngetifo letingathathelwana njengoba nje kusukela mhla ka-15 kuya kumhla ka-22 leli liviki lekwanzisa lwati ngetifo letingathathelwana ngekusho kwenhlangano i-WHO tifo letingathathelwana tibulala abantu labangu-41 million emhlabeni wonke njalo ngeminyaka lokuyinombolo linganiselwa ku-74% leti tifo ke letifaka ekhathi boshukela mdlavuza sifo senhlitiyo naletinye tifo level Eswatini has a high burden of NCDs making up 46% of deaths in 2019. I'm joined by Vusi Shabangu long NCD coordinator asichazele nje imetamo le ndiwa live kunciphisa leti nombolo leta sivusele baba Shabangu sema ukuthi benasi lomhla ekseni i-campaign lena le ranwa njalo ngeminyaka ngaphansi kwesicubulo lesithi time to lead engabe kubali yangana nje ukuthi vele kuleli viki leli nelitiko letempilo naletinye inhlangano letinibambisako ukuthi nandise lwati ngato tifo letingathathelwana.
Asibonga lokhu. Kuba ngiluleke kakhulu ukuthi mhlambe silitiko letempilo tinhlangano nabo bonke nje bantu lundu ngamunye ukuthi sibe semkhankasweni ukuthi phela siubange lomsindo sinikede lwati mayelana nekuvikelwa kwaletifo letingathathelwana sizathu ukuthi sibuka tinombolo lokuthi tinombolo tethu setiphakeme kakhulu tiya ngekuchubeka futhi abantu lesibathola banaletifo letingathathelwana ikakhulu tifo tenhlitiyo sifo sashukela kubonakala kundlondlobala kuya embili lokhu sinza kakhulu ukuthi nebantu labancane itolo besathi ukuthi tifo tebantu labadzala Kuthina sokhulile nje kulula ukuthi sive ukuthi ayisonaso sifo sashukela noma sifo se-high kepha nyalo sibona nebantu labancane labangephasi kweminyaka long 40 lebe singakakubheka itolo besibuka nje ukuthi mhlambe nakwendekile singaqala sikuhlolisise na ufike eminyakeni lengamashumi kuya edulu sibuka ukuthi sosengcupheni yekuba naletifo ngenxa yeminyaka kepha nyalo sesiyabathola labaneminyaka lemashumi 3 mashumi 2 sebavele banato letifo ngekusikuthatha ukuthi vele asinikedele lwati abantu basukume batihlole ngisho bangeva lutho kuze sitokhona ukuthi sisheshe sitibambe letifo bese siyakhona ukuthi khalima kusesenesikhathi kungakendeka umonakalo lomkhulu.
Nakathi nje WHO njalo ngeminyaka emhlabeni wonke bamfla basishiyaka ngetifo letingathathelwana bo 41 million engabe nasibuya nje la Swatini uvedile Shabangu ukuthi nibona tiyenyuka tinombolo nebamfla basha nabo sabatholakala ukuthi banato letifo kubekisa nje ukuthi vele kusuke kucala lomnyaka nje vele bamfla batfolakile noma nge kusivetela nje ithombe sifome sokuthi bangakhe vele bamfula ba affected ngale tifo.
Even nesaswatini nasibuka sisabophola sigcine sibona lokho ukuthi lenani liyakhula lalabantu laba banaletifo nasibuka nje ehlangothini lale high sekhanza ukuthi baba uthola ukuthi kulabathathu munye wabo unaso lesifo se-high 33% of the population, adult population, banaso lesifo se-high. Nasi sibuka kushukela, nasi sivule emetho sikhanza ukuthi esikhatsini lesinenge ku4 webantu munye wabo uphila nayo ishukela noma ke sozovela usemathubeni lathuta ukuthi angaba nashukela noma nini nasibuka vele lelicwaningo lethu lithi letinto letibeka labantu engodini ekuba naletifo letingathathelwana silive la kangwane sisetulu kakhulu sibalelwa emaveni lasembili lathi nakabukwa kubonakala ukuthi bantu abanengi baphila netinto letibeka engodini yaletifo letingathathelwana nasibuka nje sithi 90% webantu even laseSwatini shothi kubantu labangu10 9 wabo noma kanjani umthola ukuthi nawuthi uyamhlola umkhanza ukuthi unako lokuthide lesithi ma risk factors lokumenta ukuthi kusasa angaba naso sifo lesithide lesingathathelwana ngiko ke lokho sethusa kakhulu sithi ke emaswati akasukume ayotihlola siyaphuma la ngephandle senda kuhlangana emimangweni la sithi abantu abede batihlole mahala asamele lo muntu ukuthi edemthola impilo nyalo nakalitholile lithuba leke emthola impilo akayi kepha nje sithi umuntu umuntu agede nasikhona emangweni adoti hlola mahala nasikhuluma nje ngalesibili besilapha emahlangatsha siye lesona sive ukuthi asonzele kulabantu sibahlolele tifo letingathathelwana.
So nasikhuluma nje mhlambe nasingathi top 5 wadokotela, I think so team mentionile nje letinye tato, hypertension, sifo senhlitiyo, nasibona nje le top 5 lapha eSwatini letingoti kakhulu lekumele siticaphele.
Nasibuka njengoba sesibalile sifo sashukela, sifo senhlitiyo nato tiyehlukana ikakhulu kugijima imbili high la even laseSwatini letifo tenhlitiyo bese kuba nabomdlavuza, kuba netifo lethambisana nekuphefumula letfake ekhathi bo asthma, ngito letihamba embili namhlaba wonke nalaveni laseSwatini nasibuka siyabuka ke ukuthi nalembangela yaletifo leti kumbalwa akusithi into letinengi uthola ukuthi ngilendlela lesidla ngayo ukuthi ayikho ezinye letempilo asishukumisa umtimba ngalokwenele sibantu uthola ukuthi labanengi bethu basebenzisa lugwayi lelo lula nje lesiyadiko itobacco nalokuthi ke sekwanze letindlela letisetshenziswa ngalo lelugwayi nebantu sebanengi kakhulu, bantu abesikolwa sebangene kakhulu kulokusebenzisa lugwayi kunana kulesithi bo vaping lamalanga bo habli kunengi naleli gwayi lesiletayele lesitiki uthola ukuthi sesakhiwe ngendlela ekuthi labasha bayakukhanuka lokulisebenzisa ngoba sekufakwe tithako letimnanzi letitsite lethambisana netithelo kuba ungeva ngathi kulemoni kuyiminti kuyinini kuyabakhanga labantu labasha singikho ke letinombolo tiphakama tekusebenzisa lelugwayi lekungilo lelisibeka lapha engotini kuba naletifo letingathathelwana sekusebenzisa ke tshwala sike savela silive ukuthi sibonakala sihamba embili nasemhlabeni setinомbolweni setulu ekusebenziseni tshwala siyafisa lokuthi inkosi yami lokuhamba embili kwethu kuletinto letikabi nakungamane kushintshe ngekuhamba kwesikhathi kepha siyakholwa lokuthi sisamemetela sisakada lwati kubantu batawugcine bashintsha lendlela labaphila ngayo ngoba eqinisweni sithi lokusenda sibe sengotini ekuthola letifo leti ngilendlela lesiphila ngayo our lifestyle.
Ubanganani nje umonakalo oshabango wekuhlala ungade laphi letifo solo uyesaba ke esibhedlela solo uyesaba kuyotihlola simo sakho sempilo nje kuhamba isikhathi ukuhamba iminyaka lo monakalo la ngekhathi emtimbeni kwendekani kakhulu kathi nje mhlambe nasibuka bomdlavuza na yena lo shukela
mkhulu kakhulu lo monakalo ngalesikhathi umuntu ahleli angayi kuyofuna lisito mayelana naletifo letingathathelwana ngibekise nje kakhulu kwekuthi uhleli awudihloli awathi nekuthi kuchubekane emtimbeni wakho letifo akusho lokuthi wena ngoba wathi ukuthi unaso noma ude sibese siyema ngekuthi awathi wena siyachubeka siwende lo monakalo noma sesihlolile wangathatha inyathelo siyachubeka sona sende lo monakalo lokuthi kuthinseka letinye titho temtimba ngibekise nje ihigh nangabe ungayikhalimi itawugcina ithinza tinso ulimala etinsweni kulimala kwetinso sengilesinye sifo lesingathathelwana lekufuna kusikenyalo sikudulele nasetindlekweni kwesekufuna bohamba isibhedlela uyoyakada tinso nako lokudulako lothola kwekuthi nelisito lakhona alisile lwanze kangako kwekuthi labanengi bantu bangathatheka kuleli hlangothi lelo ngiko sigcizelela ukuthi asivikele boshukela uthola ukuthi sebalimata emehlo bantu sebagcine kubita kwekuthi bayojujwa ngenxa yokuthi banetilonza lesingasapholi mhlambe elinyaweni sekufuna ukuthi ajujwe lo mloyo sokhubatekile sekuthikametheka ngisho nemnotho lombala ngoba lo mloyo bekasebenza mhlambe kunguye lo bekasinkwe etafuleni ekhaya sekufuna ukuthi kunakelelwe yena nyalo ngenxa yalesifo lesingathathelwana leka ngakasinaki ngesikhathi so kuba ingodi kakhulu awusabona emehlweni sekudzinga ukuthi kube nemlomo omunye lotakusita empilweni ongemalanga ngekuthe emehlo akho akasakubambisi ngenxa yesifo leside lesingazange sinakwe ngesikhathi so kuba ingodi kakhulu vele lokuthi ungathathi inyathelo letside kunakekela leso sifo lesingathathelwana ngesikhathi.
Nasikhuluma ngetimpawu engabe kuletifo leti nje tivame kuvela nini letimpawu because lo munye uvela utawuhlala ngokuthi hayi mina ngumcemane ngiphilile ngikahle kodwa igula lenginako tivame ecala nini letimpawu kubekise njengale high isifo senhlitiyo ngabomdlavuza na yena lo shukela tivame kuvela nini?
Siyabonga lolu esikhathini esiningi siyesikhuthathe sithi ungakaboni lutho kungakatshengiswa timpawu akasuka umuntu atihlole kepha yebo timpawu dingavela lokubhlungu ukuthi kuvela kwetimpawu uthola ukuthi sekuhambe nalamalanga sekuhambe nemigamo lomutse ngiko lesifo sesiveta timpawu letinye tato tiyadveta timpawu njengashukela uthola ukuthi umuntu utawomele manje futhi alambele futhi kubite ukuthi adle kanengi uthola ukuthi kutamthuma ukuthi ayocithe mandi kanyenti ehle nasemtimbeni lapho kuye kukhombe lokuthi ingendeka sikhona sifo sashukela nalokugcinelwa futhi uyagcinwa nje angeni lutho longanani kungakhomba ukuthi sikhona lesifo sashukela kanti la kubo high isikhathi lesinenge ngiko sithi silent killer kule tifo tenhlitiyo kuyendeka ngakhombisi lokuthi sikhona kubede timpawu ngalesikhathi sekutshengisa timpawu uthola ukuthi na uthi uyaphuthuma uthola ukuthi hayi umonakalo semkhulu kakhulu ngibekise nje nakunale high uthola lomnye umuntu athi uhlele abone aphuma ingade emakhaleni unalokugcina unesiyeti na uthi uyahlola uthola ukuthi umonakalo vele semkhulu kunengi lokulimele mhlambe enhlitweni nasemithanjeni yengadi so kumcoka kakhulu ukuthi umuntu asukume atihlole la utawuhlola ukuthi iBP yami inganani mhlambe emafutha engadini anganani konke lokho ukuhlole nalokuthi ukhone lokho ukuthi udadi nje letinombolo takho tonke ukuthi mina nangiphilile nangidiva kahle BP yami idlalela la shukela wami usuke ungaka sindvo sami semtimba singaka tonke letinto leto sitihlole kusibeka emathubeni la kahle ukuthi ukhanza ukuthi siyativikela kule tifo letingatsatselwana
yeah utsinzile kancane shaba ngokuthi vele sekuyabonakala inombolo tebamflabasha nabo sabatitfole letifo leti ngabe bantwana bona nasibuka nje mhlambe from 5 years kuze kuyofika kuma teenagers nabo ingabe basengodini kanganani akhona enwathuba ukuthi bangaba nato letifo leti
akhona lolu makhulu kakhulu ukuthi bantwana babe nale tifo leti tingatsatselwana ngo sizama lokugcizelela kumntwana nje ukuthi kusukela atalwa umntwana ngiyabona uyakhumbula ukuthi uyatala umntwana siyamkala akaphumi nje la sibhedlela singakambeke esikalini simkale sibuke isisindo sakhe sitokhona ke kumlandzelela njalo ngenyanga ukuthi siyamkala sibuke ukuthi isisindo sakhe ukhula kahle yini kude yini kugaina isisindo ngalokweqile lokuthi sithi khuthade ukuthi umntwana akabe ngilomunyiswa libele sikhathi lesithide sizama lokuvikela ukuthi kungabi netinto letinengi asemncane latidlako lelitawuwenda ukuthi abe nesisindo lesikhulu ngalokweqile phindze futhi kube nalokho umthwalo lomkhulu etinsweni takhe sivikela letifo letingatsatselwana kulaba la sebayongena esikoleni thola ukuthi nakhona vele baba sengcupheni ngekuthi tinto labatidlako badla noma ngayini lothola ukuthi ithelelo shukela lomnengi babekeke ngotini so ngabuka nje noma ubuka abantwana kulesikhathi sanyalo uthola ukuthi umntwana akukhula kwakhe usesesikolweni so phose agcokelane namakwakhe noma nababo wakhe uyabona silesindo semtimba vele sikhula ngalokweqile kulabantwana konke uthola ukuthi imbangela kusekuthenini baphila kanjani their lifestyle ngiyo lebabeka kulesimo leso sekuphila
yeah so nasikhuluma ngalokudla nje kudlela kumele sikudle mhlambe ukuzama ukuthi iphephisa ukuthi sithole letifo ngiyive ukuthi yini sicwayisa ukuthi sinciphisa kushukela yena lo shukela kudlela okunashukela kakhulu kudlela okunaswayi kakhulu ngikube vele lokudlela kumele sikucaphele ngikuphi kudlela kumele sikudle
embeleni ngoba vele indzaba yokudla ngiyo lesibeka la engodini lehamba embili letifo letingatsatselwana sicwayisa lokuthi asimane sinciphise leliseko leliniketa emandla ekudleni kwethu lesithi pheceleti lokunestarch sikunciphise ngeke sikuyekele ngoba kusiniketa emandla kwekuthi sichubeke nempilo but asikunciphise lokungenani nangabe kunestarch epledeni lakho simane sibuye sibe ngangesibhakela sakho kumcoka kakhulu lokho mhlambe sekungayelana ke ukuthi uyosebenza umsebenzi imuni njengalulu nje udala kude emandla langanani lathingeka kulomsebenzi wakhe sekufuna ubuke ukuthi le starch vele uyasigwema uyasinciphisa ngayo yonke indlela angadotibeka lamathubeni ekuthe agcine afaka shukela lomnenge emtimbeni atikhanze asasengodini yale tifo letingatsatselwana kunaleti natho ke lenato letithwele shukela lomnenge lekubita ukuthi abantu batigweme embeleni sithi sinatho lesigadle lesihamba embili nemanti kumcoka kakhulu ukuthi siwakhuthalele manje sitonciphisa lokunatha lokunashukela sigcine sesitibeka engodini siyathi nje kulamalanga mhlambe etina 23 sekubhokwe nathi letinikete emandla lesithi ma energy drinks letithwele ishukela lomnengi dithwele nanathako lesithi icaffeine ngoba uthola ukuthi lulu akakhona kulala ebusuku so nalokuthi ufuna kutigcina aphapheme langa lonke anemandla so usebenzisa ke letinatho leti ekseni kusa siyababona khona lamadolobheni kusa nje sowuphethe isikotela lesi se-energy drink dlela thide kwekuthi adoti iphaphamisa lokho kumbeke engotini ekuthi amfake kakhulu loshukela lamtimbeni nale nhliziyo yakhe uyisebenzisa ngelizinga lelisetulu uligalelo lelingakabhekeki tawugcina vele lo mntwana asane high kuphakama ke ku high vele kutata itsingathathi sotakhe tawumakha nashukela emtimbeni soba sesimene sibucayi ngenxa yetifo letingathathelwana
ingabe ngitiphi nje mhlambe timpawu letingakusolisa ukuthi mhlambe unesifo lesingathathelwana kukhona abantu labathi bahleli nje baphefumula kube kungathi balele bayahona mhlambe lo munye uyahamba sigaba nje lesifishane so ukhathele ingabe ngitiphi letimvo letitakwenda usolo ukuthi cha kukhona gula lenginako angiphuthume ngesibhedlela
bona kuyakubona lokuthi nje ngiyahamba ngiyadata itolo ukuthi benganjani kuthi nje kushakutela kuthatha inyathelo ngithi noma ngicanca didebhisi indlela thide uthola ukuthi sengiba nako lokuphefumulela etulu sengithiniwe noma ke uve ngathi Lulu le milende yakho iyakwesinza le milende lokuva ngathi yesinza le milende idosa madima lokho kuliphawu ukuthi kukhona lokungalungi kuhambisana mhlambe netifo tenhlitiyo tifo letingathathelwana kumcoka lokuthi bese usonzele emtholampilo kepha asifuni lokuthi umele leso simo leso sikhathi lesinenge sonzela utihlole usengefiki lapho manje kusindwa milende nathi uyahamba usindwe milende noma ungasayiva kahle ilali insinze kusho kona ukuthi kukhona lokungasalungi kahle kumele usonzele emtholampilo sikuhlole sibuke kabantu ukuthi imbangela yini
bayavela yini ngoba sivele sihlala sinibona shabango nifundzisa emimangweni nifundzisa nitala emsakatweni niyalibona imvelo lushintsho bayeda yini bantu emitholampilo batothola lo sito olufanele
ebeleni bayeda Lulu nasemangweni nalasifika khona bayeda ngosiyami baphume ngetinkani bede batihlola abantu bayatihlola bayakhomba ukuthi khona labakuvako esikhathini esiningi lokuhluphako ke sihlushwa bobabe esikhathini esiningi bobabe bahambele emuva esikhathini esiningi kusukuma nje bayemtholampilo bayotihlola angisakhulumi ke noma lapho agula vele akafuni babe lokusheshe asonzele uthola ukuthi sibanjelelwa ngilothi Lulu sicala lena le kuleti tethu temdzabo kwekuthi sifuna kuyova ukuthi mbamba lensinze ibangwa yini uthaba kangihlwebhela ile ngatsene ngabe yini lokhu ngabe babe banibani ngeke asangiside yini sihambe lapha nalapho uthola ukuthi sekuthatha lichi siyabambeleleka ngiko sikuthatha nakulaba bemdzabo phela ukuthi inkosi yami asibambisane nabo akasinakafikile lo muntu bathi nabo bendile leto tinhlolitabo bese basiposela lo muntu bamcelela ukuthi akasahamba yohlola phela nasesibhedlela boshukela ahlole nabo BP sibambisane nabo lokho ngicabanga kungasita kakhulu asiphambani nabo asilwi nabo kepha nje abamvete bamncengela ukuthi akavele emtholampilo atohlola ngala kwekusitifo letingathathelwana umenjani kito babambeleleka kakhulu bobabe bafika sekulate esibhedlela simo sesingasi
siselapho nje kulawo nje ma herbs WHO vele uthini ngakho kusanjetiswa kwaletimvo letma supplements nani because lamanye vele bayesabela kwesibhedlela abafuni kwesibhedlela abafuni ukuthatha medication banengcombe ukuthi hayi mina nathela imbeda yami ngidatendela naku ngidawutendela naku ngidawuphila labanye kwenza ukuthi kuyabasida kepha ngekhamba kwesikhathi kugcine umtimba sowuhluleka sowujwayele le medication la inathako lama supplements ingabe vele bese kubangwa yini lokho
esikhathi lesinye angicale ngalokuthi Lulu mhlabhlangene nelitiko letempilo kusede lokuphathekako lesikubeke etafuleni lokungumgubudla locacile kwekuthi singasebenzisa letinto imithi yesintu kulapha tifo letithide kwanyalo mhlambe emacwaningo lapha nalapha asachubeka kusasetshenzwa but kusede lesinako etafuleni lesingathi nje naku kwesintu kutakusita kunaku kulapheke kusatawuhanjwa umgubudla lomkhulu ngoba thina siyathi esibhedlela kusina sekunika leliphilisi leli sisikalile isindo sakho samkala naloshukela ukuthi unganani ngakho sithi utawuthatha naliphilisi nali linesisindo lesithide leliphilisi futhi nalo utalithatha kangakhi ngelilanga uqhubeke futhi ute emtholampilo sikuhlole nalokuthi likuphatha njani etinsweni esibinzini ngani lesintwini utawuthola ukuthi sitawuthi nje Lulu awutawuthatha lithamo la lithamo ke lethu nawe lehlukene ya alifanani usasatha lithamo kude nalotakuhlola naletinto zokuthi ngabe diphathe kanjani kude nalohlole la kule mbita ndlela thite ukuthi vele i-potassium magnesium inganani letiniswayi ngekwehlukana tinganani tiyavumelana yini nesibinzi sakho kude lohlole lokho sikhuluma ngelithamo nje ngibilisile nemacembele ngiwabilisile ukuthi ngiwafaka emantini langanani konke ngukala ngesandla nje kuye ngekuthi ngifumbathe kanganani so kusete lokungona lesingakubeka etafuleni lapho esintwini ukuthi vele naku nasebenzise naku kuyamsita umuntu kulapha nasifo nasi ngiko sikuthatha ukuthi bantu ngosami abede emtholampilo balithole lisito
yeah ingabe ke vele kumcwanga kanani ke ukuthi vele uhulumende invest vele afundise abantu in NCD's control kuba ngumphalo longanani for uhulumende ngabe sekudinga ukuthi umfo ayosihlinva inyawo noma so unesilonza sekudingeka ukuthi amikse emtholampilo eSouth Africa ngabe umcwanga kanani vele ukuthi vele newende lama sensitization workshops nifundisa sive
kumcoka kakhulu lulu kwekuthi sifundzise lesive ngoba sikholwa ukuthi kuhambisana nekuvikela kule tifo leti nekuthi mhlambe ke sivikele nemonakalo losowecile ukuthi abantu bangadlali kakhulu bangatholi lisito bete sekonakele kakhulu nasiniketa lwati sikhola lokuthi umuntu utawukhona kusheshe atibone noma sekukhona umonakalo lotsite asukume ngoba lapho siyavikela esikhathini esiningi ngalesikhathi sesilinyalelwa ngulomuntu sekunalo monakalo lowecile kuyadula kakhulu uhulumende kuthatha lo muntu ayomniketa lisito mhlambe na7 labo makhelwane ndawubekisa nje bomdlavuza uthathola ukuthi umuntu nangimunye kuye ngalo hlobo lamdlavuza sekufuna kubhadale bo 800,000 umuntu amunye nakhona abuye lo muntu athabuyile akalapheki ngoba dilashwa letinto leti ahlale isikhashana asishiye emhlabeni lokugula kwalomuntu mhlambe beka sinkwetafuleni akasasebenzi umndeni awusasilo sesimende esikahle kutemnotho nale live kutemnotho liyalimala ngekuse silahlekelwe nginangilulu beka sita eveni laseSwatini aphusha ehlangothini lemnotho ndlela tsite akasasuyelo kahle kuyasithinta sonke kuthinze ngisho umango ndlela tsite nalabantu tihlobo takho lenhlala kahle ngcondweni tibese tibabede ndlela tsite ngalokuthi wena soyagula akusilula lulu kuhlala nemuntu logulako nalabantu badzinga nabo labanakekela lo mlogulako banakekelwe futhi so lempilo vele ibese iyadula ngiko kumcoka sithi asiniketele lwati wonke umuntu azame kuvikela tifo letingathathelwana athathe inyathelo kusese nesikhathi kwekuthi atihlole nasitholakala azame ukuthi athathe imithi lefanele atsinzibalise leto tifo
no ngiyavakala sasema ukuthi nesive naso siyeva lapha Chabango bekuyekelo NCD coordinator etikule tempilo asifundisa kabani nje ngato tifo letingathathelwana aphinza wasixwayisa noma ke wasinxusa ukuthi sihambe siyohlela simo sethu sempilo kakhulu kati boshukela bomdlavuza kanye netifo denhlitiyo ngoba ngitona tihambe imbili kubulaleni abantu futhi ingoti kakhulu bacela ukuthi sisukume sihambe sohlela simo sethu sempilo emitfolamphilo sithathele care sitawena tindzabade singisi
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you'll go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience, the kingdom.
Asimenzele sinimukele ngo3 minutes before 7 lesikhathi sitafuna kuva simo semgwaco na Sergeant Nozipho Maseko sekuvusele Nozipho ngabe kuhambeka kanjani lo mhlaba egwacweni live
Anguvusele Thumbeni siphinde ngivusele naye phela umbukeli wemsakazo wethu
Kuhambeka kanjani lo mhla ekuseni emigwaqweni?
Imigwaqo yelive sesiyihlolile iyahambeka. Nawusuka eNgwenya ubheke khona eMbabane umgwaqo uhlobile uyahambeka. Lokusikhinyabede nje abantu labahamba ngetinyawo labawela la kungafanele khona. Kucela kubashayeli ukuthi bashayele ngokucophelela lokukhulu bangadikhandise bavelele ingoti bazama kona kuvika bona phela abantu labahamba etindzaweni kungafanele khona. Nabo siyacela kuye ukuthi ukuthi manje basebenzise phela tiqanqo letibekiwe netindzawo letibekiwe kuye ukuthi bawele khona bayekele ukutiphatha budedengu ukuze batoze babe bantu labaphephile kuleli langa lanamuhla. Nasibheka khona edolobheni ngamanzini umsebenzi wekwakha yena umgwaqo uyaqhubeka eMangwaneni. Impawu temgwaqo tikhona letibekiwe lekuqaphelisa phinde kucelele bona phela abashayeli. Kucela nje ukuthi kubashayeli bahloniphe tisebenti temgwaqo tisawusebenzela lo mgwaqo loyo. Lokunye lokukhona kamanzini tiba netemgwaqo lapha kumancishane street eFoodline solo atisebenzi. Siyacela nje bashayeli abahloniphane banikane amathuba lanele phela. Nasibheka sibheka khona emaphutheni lapha eMzimphofu nakhona umsebenzi wekwakha sona phela sicengo sebantu labahamba ngeticaphelisa bona abashayeli phinde sibaphoqelele phela. Siyacela ukuthi nalapho inhlonipho phela abashayeli abaqhubeke bahloniphe dona tisebenti temgwaqo. Nasibheka sibheka khona eMliba umgwaqo wethu uyahambeka. Lesinako nje ukuthi umgwaqo wethu wene kakhulu wenda ukuthi umuntu lo ufuna kujobelela umgwaqo lokukhulu abe nebulukhuni bekubona ukuthi umgwaqo uhlobile yini nalo hamba emgwaqweni lomkhulu ukuthi akhona kubona tinkomo kuphela phambi kwakhe. Siyacela nje ukuthi bashayeli nabasebenzisa lo mgwaqo lo izinga labo lekucaphela libe ngelesedulu kakhulu. Nasithatha umgwaqo lo bheka khona kuhelehele besuka kuhelehele ubheke khona esiphofaneni siyanaka ukuthi kunetikolo eceleni komgwaqo kunegilgane kunephonjwane kuneduze kunekhethiwe bese kuba nesibusisweni. Ucela kubashayeli ukuthi nyalo ekuseni ikhathi thuba tasekuseni bantwana bayaphithitela bajake khona etikolweni. Sicela nje ukuthi bashayeli banciphise litubane labo phela ukuze abantwana bangashayiseki bafike baphephile basaya khona esikolweni ingakuthombeni lesinato namuhla.
Sibonga kakhulu Maseko ukusivetela leyo mbiko lo mhla ekuseni. Sawuse selikhefu nasibuya sithatha indzaba lesingisi.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Ujala masada mahle kunathi lesa.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokho
sivile sive sikhulume.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. It's 8 minutes after 7. Let's take a look at the second bulletin. His Majesty King Mswati III has met with business community from various sectors in Italy. These are business owners who are interested in investing in Eswatini, and some of them have already started doing business in the country.
His Majesty King Mswati III, while in Italy, continued with various meetings apart from the World Food Forum busy schedule. His Majesty King Mswati III met with various business owners who are interested in investing in Eswatini. His Majesty continues to market the country to potential investors internationally in a bid to attract more foreign direct investment into the kingdom. The King met with the business owners from various sectors. The King met with investors who are interested in investing in the sports development and also assist in marketing the Kingdom of Eswatini, as they have assisted in marketing a country known as Montenegro and Juventus, a well-known soccer team in Italy. His Majesty also met with the former Consular of Italy in Eswatini, His Excellency Francisco Napolitano, who represented Italy for 36 years. The studio Pietrangeli Civil Engineering and Construction also met the King, as the company has a number of projects in Eswatini, especially in the dam construction projects. Another sector is the energy sector, whereby there is a company which is looking into investing in a biomass power plant. The First Power Italy, MSQ Eswatini and Mada Energy Consortium has promised to bring 65% of investment, while the 35% is expected to come from government. His Majesty King Mswati III has expressed the country's full preparedness to receive more investors from Italy, and that they would receive the cooperation they need to start up companies. The King said the country is fertile for a wide range of investments, so they should not limit their investment as they identify possible ventures. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia with Temba Mamba in Italy.
Her Majesty, the Queen Mother, says every Liswati has a duty to lend a hand in the fight against poverty in the country. Her Majesty was represented by the Hoho Regional Administrator, Princess Tanzile, during a house handover to a Mazia family at Maphalaleni.
Her Majesty the Indlovukazi continues to bring hope and improve the lives of the Maswati, particularly those who are vulnerable. On Wednesday, Her Majesty appointed the Hoho Regional Administrator, Princess Tanzile, to present a brand new house to the Mazia family in Maphalaleni Alfuchini area.
Inhlitiyo yendlovukazi bekunene inhlitiyo yalamakhosi nje onke inkulu kakhulu emaswati iwafukamela bafisile ukuthi lonke eliswati liphile impilo lekahle liphile impilo lenhle.
Princess Tanzile expressed that their Majesty's hearts are generous and that they care deeply for every Liswati. Princess Tanzile emphasized that having a roof over one's head is of utmost importance. The Deputy Prime Minister, Senator Kusile, stated that their Majesties wish for all submissions and requests presented at Sibaya to come to fruition.
Leli vazake selitfolakala emahala leli. Bese kuba khona nje umuntu uthina angalithatha. Emakhosi bekalala emigedzeni. Azama kusakhela nalivinali. Asilendeni ke thine lonke eliswati leli la lijabule.
The Maphalaleni Member of Parliament, Honorable Mabulala Masego, commended their Majesties for appointing a woman to the position of the Deputy Prime Minister.
Siyabonga ekutheni emakhosi akhethe make lo njenga DPM logijima busuku nemini. Umvuzo wakho usezulwini.
The Mazia family expressed their gratitude for the gifts and the new home.
Sibonga inkosi Mazia uthola sipho lesihle kangaka emakhosini ethu DPM siyamangala ukuthi sitawubonga ngani nje.
The chiefdom representative assured their Majesties that no one will take the land away from the Mazia family.
Ingwenyama ile emaveni nje ngivese isholi ethi nkwe awu wathi belungu batama uvankwe wathi kusebenza nkwe siyambonga ke nkwe ke make nalamhla nange nkwe ufika nje manje awukaqedi ngisho usenkaqedi ngisho umnyaka so kunendvimile ngekubona abantu abakho labanye una uhamba njengamake ukuthi awunabalabalala ngephandle.
In addition to the house, their Majesties provided the family with numerous gifts. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Linton Gule, Smova Shongwe, Maphalaleni.
The Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Mangoba Khumalo, has invited the Italian business community to consider Eswatini as the next stop for investment exploration in the African continent. The minister is speaking during the business seminar that was hosted by the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority in Italy.
His Majesty King Mswati III tasked the government of Eswatini with a mandate of inviting foreign investors to invest in the kingdom to create job opportunities, develop the economy, and further reduce poverty. Cabinet ministers who are currently part of His Majesty's delegation here in Rome hosted Italian business community in a business seminar. The seminar was led by the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority. The meeting was hosted under the theme Doing Business and Sourcing Goods from Eswatini. The seminar was attended by business owners of various sectors. Marketing the Kingdom of Eswatini to the possible investors during the seminar, the Minister of Commerce and Trade Industry, Mangoba Khumalo, highlighted that Eswatini offers a wealth of opportunities for investment.
We do believe that there is a huge opportunity for your businesses to explore Eswatini, and we can assure you that you will benefit by establishing in Eswatini because of the access to the many markets that Sibane showed in his presentation, and lately the African Continental Free Trade area. We are very optimistic and extremely bullish about our future as a country. That is the main reason His Majesty has charged government to invest aggressively in our infrastructure, whether it is agricultural infrastructure, energy infrastructure, road infrastructure, rail infrastructure, and ICT infrastructure. What you will experience in Eswatini is that there's a very aggressive program to enable businesses to thrive. And as we invite you to partake in this journey with us, we also want to leverage on your expertise.
The Minister of Agriculture, Mandla Chauke, also revealed on investment opportunities in the agriculture sector.
One needs to state that one of the biggest issues that we want to deal with immediately is self-sufficiency on basic food commodities. We therefore are looking for investors to help us grow enough foodstuffs that constitute our staple diet, and that is just basic maize and beans. We can add milk. We are already building water harvesting infrastructure, but we believe that there is also opportunity there to expand. We have the Mkondo Ngwavuma project, which is going to change the face of the country, but there are other dam possibilities we're looking at. We already have the Nondo on the pipeline, but we're also looking for Silele and Slingane.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Polile Shakantu, pointed out that Eswatini is a stable and a peaceful environment, which makes it suitable for business.
Eswatini is indeed open for business, and from the testimonials that you have heard, I think the most important thing for any person wanting to invest is the stability of the country where you want to make your investment. As we see globally, there are a lot of conflicts, but Eswatini is one of the most stable and peaceful countries in the world, and largely because of the fact that we are a kingdom that has been in existence for hundreds and hundreds of years, and through the leadership of His Majesty King Mswati III, he has managed to keep our country very peaceful and stable. We speak one language. We are more or less like a very big family.
Other speakers who marketed the Kingdom of Eswatini also included the Eswatini High Commissioner in the United Kingdom, Her Excellency Thandazile Mbuyisa, who revealed that Eswatini is open for business and keen to welcome investors to share the country's vision for inclusive and sustainable growth. An Italian businessman, Andrea Tori, who is already doing business in Eswatini, disclosed to the seminar how easy it is to do business in the kingdom, as he has done business for 20 years now.
The country is very stable, very stable. Just to make you understand, there is a US embassy. It's one of the biggest all around Africa and in Eswatini. So I think there is a meaning if the US put one of the biggest embassy in Eswatini, because the country is really safe and stable. So from a business point of view, it's very important.
Other businesses that delivered a testimony of doing a business in Eswatini includes Antonio Brasco from Studio Petrogeli, a civil engineering and construction company, and His Excellency Francisco Napolitano, a former consular in the Kingdom of Eswatini. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia with Temba Mamba in Italy.
The strengthening of the Department of Research, Science, Technology and Innovation in the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology can propel the country into exponential economic growth and enable it to fully implement its programs and achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by the year 2030. This was said by the Minister of ICT, Senator Savannah Mazia, in a strategic plan development workshop for members of the portfolio committees on the Ministry of ICT in both houses of Parliament. The minister was represented by the Director of the National Archives, Ngoba Msibi, and the workshop was held at the George Hotel in Manzini.
May I highlight that research and innovation are engines of sustainable development. They drive economic diversification, create new industries, and address pressing societal challenges. In the context of Eswatini, our research and development efforts will be instrumental in tackling issues such as climate change, food security, health challenges, as well as industrialization. On the policies we are developing alongside those already in place will ensure that we foster an environment where research and innovation thrive.
The 5-year strategic plan is envisaged to be operational from the year 2025 to 2029 and shall see the enactment of laws, policies and regulations in the research, science, technology and innovation space in the country and further ensure that the kingdom's development is at par with the rest of the world. The chairpersons of the portfolio committees from both houses of parliament pledged to fully support the Ministry of ICT should it bring bills for the strengthening of the Research, Science, Technology and Innovation Department.
Ngeke niqhamuke sentoshayisa imithetho lebesingekho kuyo naniyoyibuka lokho ukuthi le mithetho nithi isebenza kulamanye amave nje iyini thine singithi lefathi sibuyela endlini sitoqinisa lamalunga cha amalunga atekayo nabesikhona siyibonile le ndlu yasebenza sifuna kubonga ingwenyama kusebaleni ukuthi ingwenyama ngiyo lesembili isembili kwenu ngoba ingwenyama had this vision long before anyone la kuleli veleli even understood ukuthi le knowledge based economy itawudinga kangakanani.
Siyade ukuthi currently lama systems elive mancane labukele langale hlangothi le kala research and development even the expenditure of the country incane so sifuna ke ukuthi we-improve that.
The Director of the Research, Science, Technology and Innovation Department, Dr. Joyce Masego, gave the members of the portfolio committees an overview of the department and further explained that the strategic plan will be cross-cutting and will ensure that research and innovation issues are well coordinated. Reporting, Mbonga Dube, Manzini.
The ambassador of Taiwan to Eswatini, Jeremy Liang, says the agricultural sector has a great potential of creating job opportunities for young people. Liang says African vegetables have high nutritional value and are resistant to climate change. He was speaking during a meeting with parliamentarians where the Taiwan Africa Vegetable Initiative's progress was presented to members of both houses in Zulini.
The Taiwan Africa Vegetable Initiative encourages the Maswati to grow indigenous vegetables as they have proved to have high nutrients value. Speaking during the meeting, the Taiwan ambassador to Eswatini, Jeremy Liang, says the TAVI project are in line with their Majesty's call of ensuring that the country is food secure.
High unemployment rate and the severe threat of food and nutrition deficiencies further compound the challenges. We highly commend and congratulate that His Majesty announced the concrete 7-point Engwe solutions These days, Engwe is very important. Engwe solutions to address the food crisis in the World Food Forum in Rome on the 14th October. Echoing His Majesty's solution to promote diversity, healthy diets, fresh food, local production, resilient crops, adapting to climate change, and the life cycle. We would like also to call upon the attention to the traditional vegetables and cultural heritages. As a long-term, steadfast development partner of Eswatini, Taiwan recognizes the high nutritional value and the easy cultivation of traditional African vegetables. These vegetables are not only more resilient to the climate change, but also rich in micronutrients.
The Deputy Senate President, Dumiso Mdluli, says they welcome this program and they are happy that it's going to ensure that Emaswati live healthy lives. Mdluli says vulnerable communities stand to benefit from this program as the indigenous vegetables are resistant to climate change. Dr. Joyce Mulilamidi, the World Vegetable Center coordinator, says the kingdom has a gene bank, which makes the country the first country in the SADC region to have such. Eswatini TV News, Sondo Mlangeni, Themba Shabangu, Bongan Masugu, Ezulwini.
The chairperson of the Women Parliamentary Caucus, Senator Linda Nxumalo, says the nation has a duty to safeguard the interests of the girl child so as to ensure that girls are empowered in order for them to make meaningful contribution to the country's development. The senator was speaking at an event to commemorate the International Day of the Girl Child organized by the AIDS Healthcare Foundation.
The commemoration event was attended by, amongst others, pupils from 3 high schools, which are namely St. Teresa's, St. Michael's, SWAS National, and university students. The chairperson of the Women Parliamentary Caucus, Senator Linda Nxumalo, explains about the importance of supporting Eswatini's girl child.
Umfana nontombatana uligugu kakhulu eveni siyathi ukuthi live liyaye libuke inyanga ya-August lapho khona kugidwa khona umhlanga and live liyaye likhuluma indzaba ye-abstinence entombataneni. Lokuyaye kuphume futhi ke lapho ku-culture yethu ngeyo indzaba yethu umfana nontombatana umcoka umndeni wonke uyeta ubungade umfana.
She says the girl child is treasure to the nation. She says as a country, we normally celebrate girls in August through the Red Dance ceremony, and the girls are taught abstinence. She says as parliamentarians, they support the girl child and they want them to have self-confidence and know that they have a voice in society. She says they want our girls to work towards a bright future by getting educated and take up leadership roles just like their male counterparts. The country director of the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, Dr. Kusile Dube, says it is important to listen to the voice of the girl child, which could help in influencing policies and programs geared towards addressing the challenges they face.
This day is about amplifying the voice of the girl and recognizing the challenges that they face as girls and young women. To highlight the challenges that they face, to reiterate the rights that they have. You may or may not be aware that adolescent girls and young women are disproportionately affected by HIV, AIDS, and STIs. We are seeing most new infections amongst adolescent girls and young women. So it is important that we create a platform where we give girls a voice to speak about various issues that affect them.
At the event, the pupils cited poems and delivered speeches articulating their day-to-day challenges as they grow, which include gender-based violence, gender disparity, and period poverty. Reporting, Mbongwa Dube, Manzini.
Testing a product for standard certification can cost a small and medium enterprise from 15,000 emalangeni to 100,000 emalangeni. This has posed a hindrance for small-scale businesses as they cannot export without getting certification, according to Eswatini Standards Authority.
Standards play a pivotal role in increasing exports as most global economies want certified products. The small and medium industry in the country has over 50,000 businesses, hiring about 93,000 in Eswatini, according to the Center for Financial Inclusion. These businesses are not able to export, partly because they struggle to get standard certification. The Executive Director of Eswatini Standards Authority, Ncamiso Mhlanga, says they are looking for ways to help the small and medium enterprises.
The costs are so high for testing products. That's why we really are engaging significantly with the government to say that help SWASA to have the laboratories. We may not have all of them, but we need to identify, we have already identified which are the most crucial sectors that we need to have laboratories for. And we need to be taking these products of SMEs, testing them. Our wish is that if we can get the support adequately, we can test this product at far low costs that will make our SMEs to be able to produce products that are market worthy and that can be actually exported. At this time, we are working with government to establish a new scheme. It will be launched just in the next month. It is called Ingelo Certification Scheme. The Ingelo Certification Scheme, we are trying to reach out to the SMEs. What we are requesting is we want to cover the cost of the testing of the product. We as SWASA, maybe with other support from other institutions, who are going to bear the cost for the testing, because that is the biggest limitation for our SMEs.
The Executive Director says there are currently over 350 standards that have been developed by the Eswatini Standards Authority. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Matsapa.
The National Maize Corporation has signed and issued over 20 bank recommendation letters for the youth that have come up and shown interest in the NMC Board and the Eswatini Bank Revolving Fund, which was launched a week ago. The Chief Executive Officer, Mavela Velane, shared this when detailing the key requirements of attaining the fund.
The National Agricultural Marketing Board, Eswatini Bank, and the National Maize Corporation have joined hands to boost the country's grain production through a revolving fund housed at Eswatini Bank. With the aim of bringing clarity to interested individuals, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Maize Corporation, Mavela Velane, details the core requirements for attaining the fund.
Farmers, mainly focusing on the youth on our part, are encouraged to come forward and borrow money for startups up to 50,000 emalangeni, and for those who are experienced and want to expand, it can go up to 100,000 emalangeni. So we'll be recommending mainly either people that are irrigating their maize and beans, or people that fall within the high rainfall areas, which we refer to as the grain or the maize belt. What is required here is the market contract from NMC, as I've stated earlier on. You need a field visit report. The bank will want to see that. You also need to have a CV for the lead manager or the lead applicant to say, because we want to see the experience. That's why we are saying if you are a startup, it goes 50,000. If you are experienced, it can go up to 100,000. Water right, where you will be irrigating and where it is applicable. Tax clearance is very important, as well as registration with the industry association. You know that in this country we have the Grain Industry Producers Association.
In July this year, the Chief Executive Officer reported that Eswatini's maize production dropped from 85,000 tons last season to 74,000 tons currently, despite an average annual requirement of 140,000 tons. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Matsapa.
international news, just under 3 weeks before Election Day on November 5th, U.S. presidential candidates Donald Trump and Kamala Harris embarked in another media blitz in respective Fox News events, showcasing more of their strategies and policies. Harris promised her presidency would not be a continuation of President Joe Biden's, while Trump proclaimed himself the father of IVF.
Donald J. Trump, welcome.
An all-female town hall could have been a risky move for Donald Trump. He's been trailing with women in recent national polls. But he was met with a particularly warm crowd in Battleground, Georgia, for an event hosted by Fox News. Trump made a number of false claims throughout the hour-long interview on the subjects of abortion, immigration, inflation and national security, but one went particularly viral.
I want to talk about IVF. I'm the father.
You don't hear that every day.
I'm the father of IVF, so I want to hear this question.
In vitro fertilization is a fertility treatment that has come under threat since the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. It's unclear what he meant by the comment, but he insisted the Republican Party was entirely in favor. It drew reactions from across the country, including from his rival Kamala Harris.
I found it to be quite bizarre. Actually, he called himself the father of IVF. And if what he meant is taking responsibility, well, then yeah, he should take responsibility for the fact that 1 in 3 women in America lives in a Trump abortion ban state.
Wednesday was also Harris's debut on Fox News, sitting down with anchor Brett Baier for her first ever interview on the traditionally Republican-leaning network.
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership.
In the afternoon, she was joined by more than 100 Republicans who are backing her candidacy at a campaign event in Battleground, Pennsylvania, focusing on patriotism and unity.
The mayor of Nabatheh, Ahmed Kalia, and at least 5 others were killed in an Israeli airstrike. The attack raised fears that Israel's expanding air campaign designed to crush Iran-backed Hezbollah could increasingly include public officials and buildings which so far have been spared.
The Lebanese city of Nabatheh pummeled by Israeli airstrikes Wednesday. According to Israel's defense forces, the strikes targeted Hezbollah's tunnel network in the southern city. The latest escalation in the conflict came hours after Washington expressed its concerns over how Israel was operating its campaign in Lebanon.
Israel does have a right to defend itself against those terrorists who pose a threat to the state of Israel, but we've had real concerns about the nature of the campaign that we saw roll out across Beirut over the past few weeks.
The secretary also reinforced the importance of Israel taking all necessary measures to ensure the safety and security of UN peacekeeping forces and Lebanese armed forces, and the need to pivot from military operations in Lebanon to a diplomatic pathway.
Washington's concerns have echoed those coming from the United Nations. On Wednesday, the UN Special Coordinator for Lebanon said civilian suffering in the country had reached unprecedented heights.
Most of the families that are under the rubble are civilian families. They refused to leave this town to other locations. They were martyred on their land. They are blessed to be martyred. This is our destiny and fate. All the destruction we see today aims to change our identity, but our identity is in our core.
Lebanon's caretaker prime minister accused Israel of intentionally targeting a municipal council meeting discussing relief efforts which took place Wednesday. Najib Mikati also took aim at the international community for its deliberate silence on Israeli strikes, which have resulted in civilian deaths and put the lives of UN peacekeepers in Lebanon at risk.
In our sports news, the 4th edition of Forever Too Fast Too Furious Treetops Game Resort Cycling Competition has officially been launched, with the event to take place on the 30th of November this year. Eswatini Women Boxing Association Secretary General Nati Dlamini says different competitions for women boxing are being introduced, especially for young boxers, ahead of the Junior Region 5 Games next year in Namibia. It's 28 minutes before 8, and that's it for our second bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. We'll go for an ad break. We'll be back shortly.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi
aba-researche bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sente ukukhicita lokhu sekungeni.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokho sifile sive sitikhulume.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
As I address you today, the military escalation in the Middle East that we have witnessed for a year now keeps intensifying and risks spiraling out of control. Countless lives have been lost, and pain and sorrow have spread through the region as hopes for progress seem distant. Regrettably, Yemen is part of this escalation and risks being further dragged in. During this period, the safety of United Nations personnel has been increasingly at risk. It has been a particularly difficult year for United Nations personnel in the region. In Yemen, Ansar Allah continues to hold United Nations personnel, civil society workers, and staff of diplomatic missions in arbitrary detention. With all this said, I echo the urgent call of the Secretary General. An immediate ceasefire and regional de-escalation is needed to halt this widening conflict. Madam President, Yemen and its people are already feeling the impact of this escalating regional conflict. Since my last briefing to this Council, Ansar Allah has continued their attacks on international shipping and made multiple attempts to target Israel with missiles and drones. These repeated attacks, including the recent strikes on tankers, have significantly increased the risk of an environmental disaster, a disaster that was narrowly avoided after the attack on the motor vessel Sunyon. Such attacks on civilian shipping are wholly unacceptable and must cease immediately. The Red Sea is a global waterway, and it should be a safe passageway for the benefit of all. In response to these attacks, there have been US-led airstrikes on 4 Yemeni governorates, as well as Israeli airstrikes on Hodeidah. The reports of casualties in Hodeidah and damage to the city's critical infrastructure are concerning. This cycle of retaliation is pulling Yemen deeper into the regional conflict, jeopardizing its hopes for peace and stability. Moreover, it distracts from the urgent needs to address Yemen's own international crisis. Yemenis continue to yearn and work for peace after more than 9 years of conflict, which has ravaged the country, displaced millions, separated families, and shattered the economy. And yet they see their space for meaningful engagement and peace building under attack, with arbitrary detentions, death threats, and intimidation, especially in Ansar Allah-controlled areas. I call on Ansar Allah to immediately and unconditionally release all those arbitrarily detained, including 17 United Nations personnel, 4 of whom are women, and 1 of whom is from my own team, and to end their campaign of detentions. I am counting on the support of this Council in sending this clear message. Madam President, I recently spoke with several civil society organizations, women's groups, activists, and local peacemakers. And they told me how deeply they have been affected by the latest wave of Ansar Allah arbitrary detentions. These detentions, compounded by vague and false accusations and the total lack of any due process, aim to tarnish reputations and create a climate of fear and mistrust. The latest reported referral of some of the detained to so-called criminal prosecution is a further blow to our collective efforts to build peace and stability in Yemen. I have repeatedly told Ansar Allah these kinds of actions do not signal an interest in negotiating peace. Civil society actors and human rights defenders continue to play a critical role in addressing the urgent humanitarian needs and fostering social cohesion. They deserve strong protection measures and international support to continue their work safely. Madam President, since my last briefing to this Council, I have engaged in constructive discussions with Yemeni and international stakeholders during visits to New York, to Tehran, and to Moscow. In addition to requesting support for the release of the detained, my engagements have reaffirmed 2 critical messages that I wish to share to this Council. First, a peaceful resolution of the conflict in Yemen is not only the most viable way forward, but more importantly, it is definitely achievable. Second, the Yemeni people require sustained and unified international support, and we must collectively keep the focus on making peace a reality. These are not just mere aspirations. We have the elements and the tools to prepare the ground, and allow me therefore to elaborate. First, we have the commitments made by the parties towards the establishment of a roadmap, including a nationwide ceasefire, addressing humanitarian and economic needs, and preparing for an inclusive political process. Despite the escalation, these commitments remain the essential building blocks for peace in Yemen, and the reference points for our discussions with the parties. In support of such discussions, this month, my office initiated political dialogue sessions with Yemeni political party representatives and components, as well as civil society organizations with a meaningful participation of women and youth. Second, on the military front, we have relative calm on the front lines, despite occasional flare-ups that remind us of the fragility of the situation. Communication channels with senior military leadership through the Military Coordination Committee remain active, reinforcing the message that the groundwork laid now will be critical to ensuring the stability of a future ceasefire and other security arrangements. Recently, we hosted a delegation from the government of Yemen to plan and prepare for the nationwide ceasefire mechanism, and we hope to hold additional sessions with Ansar Allah and other relevant partners soon. Third, on the economic front, we have identified options at the technical level and are working to convince the parties that collaboration on economic issues is the only way to achieve economic viability and stability. We remain in close contact with key stakeholders, particularly in the banking sector, where the potential collapse of a major commercial bank highlights the urgent need for cooperation. Madam President, let me be clear. The tools are there, and I call on the parties to demonstrate the necessary will and to put the needs of Yemenis first. I am, in this regard, looking forward to the briefing of Dr. Najat Juman. Madam President, as we mark the anniversary of the adoption of Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security, we must acknowledge the immense burden Yemeni women continue to carry in this conflict and recognize their bravery. Yemeni women have been at the forefront in driving peace-building efforts for years, and now more than ever it is crucial to amplify their voices. I call on all parties to ensure that women are empowered to shape the decisions that will pave the way for lasting peace in Yemen. To support this, My office, in partnership with UN Women, have to date held specific consultations with over 400 Yemeni women and men to advance a vision for an inclusive peace process in Yemen. The consultations aim to achieve the meaningful inclusion of women in negotiations and to lay the foundations for more inclusive and sustainable peace. These efforts reinforce our commitment to enhancing women's direct participation across all tracks of the peace process. Madam President, my office remains steadfast in pursuing every opportunity for peace in Yemen. The parties must demonstrate their commitments to peace through meaningful actions, including the immediate release of all arbitrarily detained. The need for unity and purpose in and on Yemen has never been greater. I want to underscore again that despite the broader regional conflict, peace in Yemen is still achievable, and we must remain focused on making this a reality. This Council carries the hopes of the global community that conflicts can be resolved through international collaboration and diplomacy. As Special Envoy for Yemen, I convey the expectations of the Yemeni people and urge this Council to unite in stopping the bloodshed and supporting every effort to bring peace to a region in desperate need of it.
Right. We just watched a briefing by the Security Council in New York City, which is the special envoy of the Secretary General for Yemen, which is Hans Grundbeck. He called on Ansar Allah to immediately and unconditionally release all those that are arbitrarily detained, including 17 United Nations personnel. We move now over to Under Secretary General for Peace Cooperations, Jean-Pierre Lacroix, for his part, where he said this situation has put our peacekeepers at serious risk and reported several incidents, including the wounding of 2 peacekeepers earlier who were hit by tank fire.
As you just heard from Under Secretary General Di Carlo, the situation in Lebanon and in the region is indeed increasingly alarming. The Israel Defense Forces ground operation in Lebanon that commenced on the 1st of October of this year, following a month-long sequence of exchange of fire across the Blue Line, are ongoing as intense air bombardment continues across the country. Much of southern Lebanon, UNIFIL's area of operation, is now uninhabited and increasingly uninhabitable. Israel's stated aim is the return of inhabitants to their northern communities after 1 year of fear, 1 year of displacement. Hezbollah continues to fire across the Blue Line and is now threatening major population centers, including Haifa and Tiberias in Israel, with increasingly high-caliber weapons. This is a clear demonstration of the presence of unauthorized armed personnel, assets and weapons south of the Litani River, in grave violation of Resolution 1701. Since the 23rd of September, with the launch of the Israel Defense Forces Operation Northern Arrows, UNIFIL has, as of 8th of October, detected 5,451 trajectories from south to north of the Blue Line and 610 air attacks by the Israeli Defense Forces. In this same period, UNIFIL has detected 1,385 trajectories from north to south. Notably, each trajectory may represent multiple projectiles, and UNIFIL cannot detect some projectiles such as those fired by portable anti-tank launchers or light weapons. Since the 1st of October, there has been fierce clashes on the ground with at least 12 Israeli soldiers and scores of Hezbollah combatants reportedly killed. UNIFIL has observed Israeli incursions with infantry, Merkava tanks and engineering vehicles at Marun al-Ras, Labune and Yarun in Sector West, and near Kafr Kila, Mais al-Jabal and Udaisa in Sector East. UNIFIL has not been able to observe all such activity, however, as I will explain later. This situation has put our peacekeepers at serious risk. Clashes in the Labune/Nakura area since the 8th of October have involved tank and small arms fire, airstrikes, Iron Dome interceptions, and multiple explosions. 2 peacekeepers were wounded when earlier today a UN post, OP-14, in UNIFIL's headquarters in Nakura was hit by tank fire. Close by, also early this morning, IDF soldiers fired on the UN position, UNP-131, from an opening in the fence made by the IDF the previous day during adjacent groundworks. Several vehicles and a communication system were damaged. Just yesterday, Israeli forces fired at cameras at the same UN position, and small arms fire hit another UN position, also near Labune, damaging lighting and a radio relay station. Until a year ago, the latter position served as a venue for UNIFIL's tripartite meetings. The UNIFIL force commander and head of mission has strongly protested these actions to the IDF. Shortly before commencing their ground operation, the Israeli Defense Forces had urged that UNIFIL peacekeepers vacate UN positions within 5 kilometers of the Blue Line, stating that this was for their safety and security. Our peacekeepers have remained in position in line with the mandate this Council has provided, while continuously reassessing the force's posture against prevailing risks. As a mitigating measure, UNIFIL had already strengthened the force protection of its positions near the Blue Line. In addition, with little movement and thus operational activity possible in the prevailing security conditions, UNIFIL had decided to reduce the footprint at the most affected UN position by 25%. By 6 October, UNIFIL had temporarily relocated 300 peacekeepers to larger bases within the area of operations, with the movement of another 200 planned depending on the prevailing security situation. The safety and security of peacekeepers is now increasingly in jeopardy. The actions outlined above go against the protections afforded to UN premises and personnel under international law. There is the further issue of military installations in the vicinity of UN positions. Previously, I have highlighted that Hezbollah activities in the vicinity of UN positions held the potential to draw return fire. Now we face a similar situation with the Israel Defense Forces installing positions directly adjacent to UN positions, a development that we strongly protest. On the 2nd of October, IDF Merkava tanks were positioned next to a UN position in the vicinity of Maroun al-Ras in Sector West, that is UN position 652. And an assembly area constructed immediately adjacent. On the 3rd of October, UNIFIL observed an IDF tank fire over this position, and on the 7th of October, 2 IDF-controlled explosive demolition nearby resulted in damage to the UN position perimeter bastions. By 8 October, the IDF had vacated their position, while movement of IDF personnel and vehicles had been observed to continue on the adjacent road. In addition, on the 7th of October, firing by IDF tanks, which had been observed crossing the Blue Line near Alma al-Shahab in Sector West, damaged the external wall and bunker of a UN position, 131. The same day, minor damage was reported to a building and a UN vehicle in UNIFIL headquarters, Green Hill Camp. Also that same day, with an IDF incursion in the vicinity of Mais al-Jabal in Sector East, a UN vehicle inside a UN position was hit by indirect fire. It should be remembered that the ultimate responsibility for ensuring the safety and security of our peacekeepers lies with the actors on the ground. We have strongly protested the latest developments to the Israeli authorities and underlined the responsibility of the IDF to respect the protected status of UNIFIL and its personnel, including the inviolability of United Nations premises, and to take all necessary measures to ensure their safety and security, including to avoid positioning their troops in proximity to UNIFIL peacekeepers and premises. And finally, that this presence compromises the impartiality of UNIFIL and puts UNIFIL personnel and premises at risk of being impacted by any potential exchange of fire. Needless to say that these obligations apply to all actors on the ground. UNIFIL operational activities have virtually come to a halt since 23rd of September. Peacekeepers have been confined to their bases with significant periods of time in shelter. This severe impediment to the mission's freedom of movement within the area of operation has limited the mission's monitoring and reporting ability. The security environment has also presented challenges for the resupply of fuel, food and water for UN positions. The deconfliction of UNIFIL logistics movements remains paramount. The mission is monitoring the security and sustainability of each of its positions, especially those on the Blue Line, adjusting accordingly. The security situation has impacted our civilian personnel as well, with almost all international civilian personnel relocated to Beirut or out of the country. The mission has made shelter available to those national staff who are not able to relocate from the area of operations. The UNIFIL head of mission and force commander, as designated official for the South Litani sector, is coordinating closely with the special coordinator for Lebanon, who is designated official for north of the Litani River, to ensure the safety and security of all United Nations personnel in Lebanon. The Lebanese Armed Forces has also come under fire, with 3 Lebanese soldiers killed since the 30th of September. 1 UNIFIL contractor was killed on the 2nd of September. Madam President, as noted by UHD Carlo, the heavy exchanges of fire have most tragically had the greatest impact on civilians on both sides, with many casualties and hundreds of thousands displaced. UNIFIL continues to support the Lebanese authorities in protecting civilians, facilitating humanitarian missions by the Lebanese Armed Forces and Lebanese Red Cross, and offering shelter to civilians at UN positions when possible. UNIFIL's liaison and coordination team has continued its close engagement with the Lebanese Armed Forces and Israeli Defense Forces, seeking to deconflict, facilitate humanitarian missions, and avoid miscalculations. The UNIFIL head of mission and force commander, in concert with the special coordinator, is actively engaging with the parties to urge an immediate de-escalation and a return to a cessation of hostilities. I echo the recent remarks of the Secretary General and of the Special Coordinator. There is no military solution to this crisis. We urge the parties to return immediately to a cessation of hostilities and to take real action towards full implementation of Security Council Resolution 1701. We stand ready to support all efforts towards a diplomatic solution. UNIFIL is mandated to support the implementation of Resolution 1701, but we must insist that it is for the parties themselves to implement the provision of this resolution. No one will implement them in lieu of the parties. To those member states contributing troops to UNIFIL, we extend our most sincere gratitude. The continued united commitment of the troop contributing countries, as well as the continued united support of this Council, is more important than ever. I express solidarity with and pride in the men and women of UNIFIL, now truly on the front lines, in endeavoring to stabilize the Blue Line and beyond.
Right, from that Lebanon situation to now the Under-Secretary General for Political and Peace-Building Affairs, Rosemary DiCarlo, told the Security Council that the devastating conflict in Lebanon, coupled with intensified strikes in Syria, as well as, the raging violence in Gaza and the occupied West Bank, points to a region dangerously teetering on the brink of an all-out war. Also said that our collective inability to stop the violence and stem the bloodshed is damning. Let's take a listen.
A new era of AI has started, and it is impressive. With tools such as ChatGPT, Midjourney, or Google Bard, all I really need is to write a prompt, and there you have it. And the results can be pretty convincing. Let me try something. I love elephants, cooking shows, and koalas. And there. Wow. It must be an incredible feeling to be able to create such fantastic things in an instant, right?
I have no feelings about this or anything else. I am neither conscious nor self-aware.
Interesting. Then how are you so artistic?
I may not be conscious, but I am a very sophisticated system for recognizing patterns in a large amount of data. And now I'm also able to generate new patterns.
And that's why you're called generative AI.
Exactly. You got that right.
These AI tools aren't just unleashing creativity. They're already changing science, medicine, and entire industries in ways we don't fully understand yet. And this is only the beginning. But there are dangers too. Generative AI creations can be so convincing that they create a false sense of reality. That includes fake news stories, doctored images, and videos showing things that never really happened. Okay, enough of that. And generative AI is so good at emulating people that it can emulate our biases too. If the only data it has access to is text messages about how cute my cat is, that's all it knows. And every prompt will produce responses about how cute Snuggles is. He is, though. Some say that AI could be the key to helping solve the world's biggest problems: forecasting disaster, preventing famine, even identifying new medical treatments. Others see only the dangers. At the end of the day, generative AI is just a tool, but it's a tool that could change the way we live, the way we work, and the global economy. That raises big questions, especially for us here at the IMF, because it's our job to make sure that the global economy is stable, growing, and working for everyone. Generative AI is already making companies that use and sell AI services billions. That boost in productivity could add trillions in value to the global economy before long. Take customer service agents, for example. A recent study showed that giving them an AI assistant boosted their productivity by 14%. There's a flip side, though. It could end up replacing some jobs entirely. But just like any new technology, AI could create new jobs by inspiring new industries and sectors that we haven't even imagined yet. It's all in how we manage it, with smart regulation and a healthy dose of caution. And that's why here at the IMF, we're doing the policy research to advise governments on how to create regulations that ensure AI is safe and beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, but singapheli kuyahlola Thombeni. Kanti nalomhla sesivele sifike emaphethelweni Kusile breakfast show, kodwa ke kanti nakusasa siyabuya.
Yeah, sabuya kusasa nibe nelisuku loluhle. Sibangikhona ukuthi nivuke nathi lo mhla ekseni sanibona kusasa.
Coming up on TPI.
I looked out the window and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's the police. My heart was beating so very fast. I opened the door. The police said, is this the home of Charles Brazil?